Hi there, Loy Machedo. Speaking to you from loymachedo.com. Who is Loy Machedo? Think personal branding. Okay, um, a different video that is a movie review. I rarely do movie reviews, but I do a movie review if the movie stands out. So the movie review today is Will Smith's Emancipation. Okay, which came out now. Obviously, if you have been following viral content, you know for a fact Will Smith's disappointing action that he committed on March 27th, 2022, where he slapped Chris Rock. I mean, I'm pretty sure you remember that day, because that day, even for me, when I woke up and I opened my phone, and there I saw the headlines: Will Smith slaps Chris Rock. We thought it was uh, one of those planned acts, or more like a WWE stunt which they're trying to pull to get eyeballs. But then when we started to read the newspapers and reports, we found out that this actually happened. And then obviously the YouTube videos of, I think, The Guardian or these various news outlets that had exclusive rights to the event, they said that this was actually a serious thing. And then obviously after Will Smith slapped the guy, and he said, "Oh, Will Smith slapped me," and then he says, "Take my wife's name out of your fucking mouth." And then that, oh, bloody hell, it's real, because Will Smith doesn't normally use profanity. He is normally a nice guy. Uh, at least he had that persona publicly. And the backlash was so bad. I mean, diehard fans of Will Smith, people who admired Will Smith, that image of Will Smith got completely destroyed. And the memes that came out, oh, next year the host should be Mike Tyson. Then let's see Will Smith do that. I had put a video explaining my point of view, and it was very disappointing. Very disappointing for people who loved Will Smith or his character or his talent. In fact, one of his big fans who I spoke to is a female. She's also an actress. She said that she lost all respect and she was going to boycott his movies. And this female that I know, she used to love and admire the guy. So then, Will Smith, damage control, he realized what he did, or he realized the impact of what he did. And it kind of overshadowed everything that he did. In fact, it even overshadowed the fact that he won an Oscar for the movie where he played Serena Williams' father. Let me just, what is the name of the movie? Richard, yes. I mean, I watched that movie. I watched that movie later on. It was really well done. Will Smith definitely deserved the Oscar. But the whole experience left a very bitter taste in people's mouth. And if you have not seen Richard, please do watch it. It is really a nice movie, very nicely done, and it gives you a glimpse into the character. And it's amazing because they didn't just focus on the sisters. They focused on the sacrifices the father made. So it's a nicely well done movie. All right. But now, after all that happened, this movie, Emancipation, I think it stood out when the poster came out. When the poster came out, if you actually look at the poster itself, it's a very powerful image that is captured. You can see him with dirt. You can see him, like as if it's war torn. You can see him having this afro, and you begin to think, man, oh goodness, is this one of those movies like 12 Years as a Slave? And by the way, if you have not seen that movie, 12 Years as a Slave, that's a very powerful movie also. It's one of those slave movies, historical movies that really makes you think. Like some of the movies that I recommend is like Glory 1989. Then I don't know if you are the type who sees Hotel Rwanda 2004. Which are the movies? Then Malcolm X, which was another very powerful one. Lincoln 2012, Schindler's List. Oh, how can I miss Schindler's List? So I like these kind of very powerful movies, but it's not everyone's cup of tea, because sometimes they can be very disturbing, very violent. But they kind of give you a glimpse of what actually happened historically. So I do like these historical movies which are very raw in terms of their emotions and uh, the hard realities. Okay. So for me, when I saw the poster, I was like, whoa, this is going to be a really good movie. And for a split second, I even ignored the fact that Will Smith had done whatever he had done. Okay. So then I was like, all right, need to watch this movie. But to my surprise, when Apple, that had the rights to this movie, they just released it. I the only thing I could reason out is, okay, damage control. They know for a fact Will Smith is banned from the Oscar 10 years. They can't submit this for the Oscars, and it's a waste. So okay, I was like, fine, let me see it. I really wanted to see it. I'm being honest with you. I was just waiting. So when it came out, and I was like, okay, let's watch it. Now, this is my review of the movie, and I'll give you my thoughts. You can also put your thoughts. Now, here's a confusing bit. If you Google search this and check the Google reviews, is something that I tend to do. I see the ratings. It's very surprising because this is a movie that has 54321. Okay, normally Google review ratings, and the highest number of, see, if I go right now, I'll just go Emancipation movie ratings. Okay, if you see the Google reviews, you'll see at 55%, sorry, at 5, the highest rating, it has, I think, nearly 60 or 70%. And then the second highest is 1 star. So 5 star and 1 star. The 1 star is, I think, roughly 20%. And then, the little bits in between. So when there are reviews like that, generally the consensus is they had people who have paid to give positive reviews, and the reality is the movie sucks, whether it's a serial, whether it's a TV show, whatever. So I was a little confused. I was like, okay, so is this bad or is this good? So there also a little bit of confusion, but I still kept an open mind. Finally, I decided, okay, I'm going to watch it. Now, the movie, before I even give you the review, let me tell you the director, Antoine Fuqua. I hope I got his name right. Anton, Anton. Okay, forgive me. Anton Fuqua. Okay, whatever his name is. So the guy, he has had a good list of movies, not many, but he has a good list of movies. Notably, Training Day 2001, where Denzel Washington plays as a villain. He had Tears of the Sun 2003, King Arthur 2004, Shooter 2007, Mark Wahlberg. The Olympus Has Fallen, The Equalizer 2014 and 18, and The Magnificent Seven. That's another favorite of mine, 2016. So I was like, okay, there is a potential for this movie to really come out nice. All right. So then finally sat down to watch the movie, and my style of watching a movie is I generally see a movie broken down into 2 3 days. I don't watch a movie completely unless, of course, it was Avatar where I was sitting in the theater. So I watched this movie, I think, in a gap of 3 days. And let me tell you, I personally, me, if you ask me, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. And the first thought that came to my mind, and remember, I'll give you the opposite side also. The first thought that came to my mind, oh, damn, man, this is a movie where Will Smith could have won an Oscar for acting as a best actor. This is a movie where he did even better than Richard. At least I felt, because the raw emotions, the raw feelings, the intensity, the passion, the way he showed the character, the way he played it, I really felt he deserved an Oscar. Just like in 12 Years as a Slave, I can't get that guy's name is, 12 Years as a Slave, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Ejiofor. His name is so confusing to, you know. He's a great actor. 12 Years a Slave. Oh, that is the benchmark of the slave movies. And let me tell you, let me warn you, caution you. If you are not someone who can take heavy, like visceral content of blood, gore, and the reality, it's not a gore fest, but it shows you the really shocking, ugly side, the raw side of slavery. And even this guy, Michael Fassbender, the way he plays that character, oh, so cold and brutal. That is a movie that'll really, make you like, oh, I can't watch it, So, 12 Years as a Slave was really out there. So, for me, I felt that this movie, Emancipation, was more or less at that level. Okay. So now, what is the story? What is the story? It's set in 1863. By the way, I'm looking at my screen, so if in case you see me looking down, I just want to get the facts proper. Set in 1863 in the wake of Abraham Lincoln's signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. So that was when Abraham Lincoln said, "Okay, all of you, you slaves, you are no longer slaves, especially the black African Americans, or they call them those days Negroes." All right. So Will Smith plays a real character, that is Peter, a man with a heavily scarred back, and he's very famous. If you Google search that character, is uh, he is known as Whipped Peter, Whipped, or the scourged back. This was a photograph that was taken and widely circulated in the Civil War. It was instrumental in convincing the Northerners of the US on the brutality of slavery. It's a very graphic photograph. It's very raw. It shows you the back of this slave, which is like they burnt it and they cut it, and scar tissue had formed all over it. It's really painful to watch. Okay, and you begin to wonder what character of a human being could have uh, borne all this pain. So years and years of torture is on his back. So Will Smith plays this character, and the whole story is, in a nutshell, where Peter, is separated from his family, but then and sold as a slave, and his family is also a slave. They are separated. He's God fearing, and then when he goes to this swampy area where they are building a railroad for the Civil War, he happens to hear a couple of these slave masters talking, and they said Abraham Lincoln has freed the slaves, and what the hell. So when he hears, he is now driven to get out, join the army, and get away from slavery, and then he escapes. And the escape is what this whole story is, where they show the dangers of the swamp, the snakes, the alligators, and on top of that you have these guys who are chasing them and trying to kill them. So this is the gist of the whole movie, and I think the way the movie was played was really, I mean, it's pretty surreal. See, most of the movie is shot with showing the excellent cinematography of the swamp with lots of drone shots. And it's kind of like the color composition is more black and white, and sometimes there's a faint tinge of color. Um, it kind of gives you a very visceral feeling of, oh, okay, this is like raw, just like Schindler's List. Um, the main character is Will Smith. The secondary main character, the co-star, is Ben Foster. I mean, I think he really did a very good job of portraying himself as a villain. And the way the director narrates the pain that this character is going through, his willpower, and the unforgivable elements of the environment, that is mosquitoes, snakes, the swamp, the mud, the wet lands. Like for me, when I just go, I live in a forest. When I just go, even 2 3 mosquitoes I find unbearable. But I was just trying to picture this guy as a slave, and he doesn't have anything, and all the mosquitoes biting him, and so that was real. And then because it's black and white, and when he puts mud on his face, and just to make sure mosquitoes don't bite him, or the dogs that are chasing him because they're trying to find where he has run away, it really gave me a feel of how the movie is. And even the times when he got injured by either bite from a wild animal or cut because he's running like barefoot. So I was really involved in this movie. The part that is really that puts you on the edge is not just the brutal killing. They show some really violent scenes, and the way they kill slaves. There is no respect for the human element. The tension that you feel, the thrilling part, it's more like a thriller of surviving these elements, I think really drew me in. Okay. So, in if you ask me, this movie was more or less kind of it's my flavor. I kind of like these kind of movies. So I was really drawn into the whole movie. I thought it was done very well. I especially love the drone shots. I love the desaturated color. I love the way he was able to focus on the character. Will Smith really did a fantastic job. All right. And then towards the ending, the war, which was just very small few shots, and then happily ever after, you being reunited with his family, which I felt was rather abrupt. Okay, so overall, what did I think of the movie? I personally felt that Will Smith gave an Oscar-worthy performance. That is number one. In terms of the script, they could have done more in terms of focusing on Peter, the main character. I think I felt that the director, the main focus was towards the swamp escape. He tried to bring in the element of the war, but then I felt too much. If you see the movie Glory or any of those, like Mel Gibson's Patriot, um, I felt the war scene was too rushed, and he tried to give it a very triumphant feeling that they have conquered the bad guys. And then the ending I felt was rather flat because he just meets his wife, and that's about it. Um, Maybe the movie, if he had focused on those aspects, it would have been another maybe half an hour, or could have been even 45 minutes if he really wanted to put some focus there. But then I do not know how the movie would pan out. Um, but I felt there was a lot of potential there. Um, the only thing that I was, you would say, rather upset about is, um, see, here you have the main character and you have the villain. I think he had to remain true to the script. So obviously the villain dies before the ending of the movie. And then they show his struggle to fight the war. I just felt both of them were two separate movies by itself, two separate themes. Towards the second half, I kind of like uh, was pulled out of the movie. And so, the ending was, I was disappointed. All right. But if you ask me, Will Smith definitely gave a performance of his life. I think the director really put in a lot of effort. He tried to be true to the script. As far as historical accuracy is concerned, I'm not too sure which part people didn't like, because most of the negative comments, the one stars, were uh, people are disgusted with how they portrayed um, the historical accuracy, and some felt they tried to make it a gore fest, or the director or Will Smith purposely did certain acts in the movie just to make sure that he would be Oscar worthy or qualified, which I think most of the actors or directors do. So I do not know what is the problem there. But overall, if you ask me, if you like wartime movies, if you like the slave kind of movies, like if you like movies that show you the black history of USA, I think this is a movie you must consider watching. Me personally, I liked it. Had it not been for the controversy of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, I would have definitely rooted and wished him to get an Oscar. But then again, I guess there are these other elements that people say it should be historically accurate, or it shouldn't pander to a certain segment of the audience. And I don't want to get into the politics of the sensitivity or the woke culture. For me, this was a great movie. And if anyone were to ask me, I would say, if you liked 12 Years as a Slave, or that movie really appealed to you, then this should be on your watching list. Overall, I gave the movie, 8.9. I would say 8.9 or 9. Even though the ending was not perfect, I really liked the movie. So overall, this was my review for Emancipation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you consider watching it? Have you already watched it? And if you have, What did you think about it? And yes, do feel free to correct me where I'm wrong. Maybe I do not know much of the historical significance. So, good, bad, ugly. Comment down below. I definitely read your comments. This is me signing off. You guys take care.